how do secular scholars actually look at the Hebrew Bible compared to religious readers?
Okay, really good question. A lot of religious readers will read the Bible as the Word of God, and that will vary as to what they mean by the Word of God will vary from, say, one religious denomination to another. In fact, maybe from one Christian to another, because everyone has their own understanding of what that means. It does not mean that if this was written by God, that God wrote a book.
Right.
Called the Word. And I don't think anyone would understand it in those terms that God wrote. Maybe some people think of it as a book that was written by God, but I think the majority would understand it's not exactly that. It was actually written by human beings.
Yes.
And but for religious, a lot of people coming from a faith perspective would say that these human beings were inspired by God to write these words. What does inspired mean? Well, that will vary from person to person as to how they understand that. In fact, some of the old paintings, there's a famous painting, I think, by Rembrandt of Matthew, who wrote the Gospel of Matthew, writing the Gospel, and on his shoulder there is an angel whispering into his ear.
Familiar with this?
So that's kind of one sort of idea, is that an angel dictated, and that's probably maybe similar to the Quran. I think is a similar tradition.
Yes.
The Bible doesn't say that though. The Bible never says this is how it was written. It was written by people, because an angel whispered in their ear or something. The Bible doesn't say that at all. In fact, the Bible doesn't really, for most of its books, doesn't tell us who the author is at all. Right. So from a Christian or from a faith perspective, this is true from a Jewish perspective of the Hebrew Bible as well, is that it was written by individuals, by people, but they were somehow inspired by God to write this. A secular perspective would just look at this and say, okay, we've got a book. Oh, actually, it's a collection of books. Several books in there. It's a collection of we've got this. Who wrote it? Well, let's have a look and see if we can work out who wrote it. When was it written? Well, let's see if we can work it out. Why was it written? Well, let's just see if we can figure that out. So you kind of start, in some ways, with a clean slate. And you say, we've got some books. We know they're old. Let's try and figure it out from the book itself.
That's very important.
And I think it's important.
Very
important.
And
there are some people who take a secular approach, and they also still have a religious faith. And
they're not mutually exclusive.
They're not mutually exclusive at all. There are some people who are fascinated by the Bible, and they're atheists. But they're still fascinated by the Bible, and they study it, and they're biblical scholars. But they're looking at it as literature. And trying to work out from this literature itself, what can we work out from this literature? What does it say about itself?